Hello and welcome back to my workshop. Today we're going to talk about lining a planter. So not everybody wants their planters lined, so I tend to build them and keep them in stock unlined and without the plinth on. I'll explain why later. And then that means that, and unpainted as well, and then I have a stock of those, and then when somebody says, like, I've just got an order in for 4 and they want them to be lined and painted, so at least I've got the actual basic planter in stock, so it's easier for me to do that. Obviously I can't, if I have them, some of them painted, some of them lined, then somebody suddenly says I want 4 and I've only got 3 that are unlined. I've got to then go and build another one quickly, so it's easy for me to just store them in their basic form. So let's line this. Now I use this stuff. I don't particularly like it. I'm looking to get something else really, but I'm just using up what I've got. It comes in many meters of roll. It's plastic, it's pond liner, so it's proper liner, and it does do the job, but I don't like it because it comes apart like this, and the workshop just ends up absolutely covered. When I've done a session where I've been lining planters, it just ends up in these tiny little shreds of plastic everywhere. But let's face it, that's not really a big problem, and it does a good job. So I'm going to just alter the camera angle a bit so that you can see what I'm doing, and then let's have a go at lining this planter. So I use for actually attaching the liner to the side of the planter, I just use a staple gun, and it's this particular one is Rapesco metal staple gun. This particular one that I've got is a Rapesco staple gun. I think it's really for attaching material to sofas and chairs and stuff like that, but it does the job. So let's have a go. So I built all my planters to be pretty well the same dimensions. So this is going to be 25 tall, and the base is 27 by hopefully 27. So I cut the material in about 30 centimeter strips so that I know it's going to be taller than the side. So I go down, I basically, there's going to be a plinth going on the top here. So I have the top of the lining material lining up at the top here. And therefore it's longer than the side of the planter, so there's a bit of a overlap on the bottom, and then I put one piece over all of the overlaps to make it look nice. But basically it means there are gaps, deliberately there are gaps, because this is pretty solid stuff, but there are gaps in between where all the bits join, so it can drain away quite nicely. So the first thing I do is I cut a piece approximately the right size to go all the way around the edges with a bit of an overlap, so slightly longer than I need. I might just actually attach this first bit first. So I start in a corner, staple at the top, and then use the stapler to actually pull the lining tight into the corner and staple into the corner, and then maybe a couple just to hold this up. There is going to be a crown or a plinth holding this, so you won't actually see this. You won't see this bit that's slightly folded over. So then I can move into. I'm obviously going to put more staples in the final piece. I'm just really trying to get it into place so that I can cut this to the right length to go all the way around in one run. Okay, so that's 3 sides, so now I can cut approximately I'll leave maybe a 2-inch overlap so that I go around 4 sides and an extra 2 inches. Okay, so this piece goes into the corner where I started. Okay, so this is what I don't like, all these bits that come off here, and if you pull them, they just keep pulling. So ultimately I cut them, throw them onto the floor, and then after I've done all my lining, I'll have a tidy up in the workshop. So, okay, obviously this isn't in any way finished, this is just the first bit's gone in. It's now going all the way around and there's an overlap, and now I can fold the bits at the bottom into neat corners and then put one sheet all over the bottom to cover them all up. And obviously I need to put more staples in now, so let me just put a few in and then I'll show you what it looks like. So what I'm doing is I'm folding the corners in. I don't know if you can see the ones that I have done already. Just fold in and just make a nice neat corner, and then staple the corner flat. I mean, once this is full of soil and stuff, it's not going to go anywhere anyway, but when I deliver it to the person, I want it to look neat. So now I'm going to cut away some of these loose bits, which are very annoying. Okay, so we end up now, effectively that's lined on the sides. Don't know how well you can see that. And then I'm going to put one piece across the bottom. Now what I tend to do is I tend to keep little offcuts for when I get to the end of one of these rolls that I've cut. I keep all the little tiny pieces that are left over, because the piece that needs to go in the bottom, so I've just got a little offcut there. You know, you could be tempted to throw that away, but actually that's big enough. I mean, it's more than big enough to go in the bottom. So I'm going to cut a piece that will go right into these corners and overlap all of the stuff that's in there. Sometimes I cut it so that it actually goes up the edges as well. But I think in this particular case, I'm just going to do one that's big enough to go on the bottom. So that will be fine just there, along that green line. And in fact, I won't even throw that piece away, because that could actually be big enough to go on the bottom of the planter. If you can see in here what I'm doing. So, just trying to get it as flat as I can. So, just pushed flat, and in fact it is big enough that it's going up probably 1 centimetre to 0.5 centimetre up the sides as well. And it just makes it look neat, because when you look in before you put any soil in, when I deliver it to the client, it just looks nice and neat. So that's nice in there. And I'm just going to go round now. I was stapling the bottom there. I'm just going to go around and staple the top of the, I said it's coming up the sides by about 1 centimetre. I'm just going to, I don't need very many, but just a few, just to hold it so that it doesn't start falling down before they put any soil in it. Or indeed, so that when they put the first bit of soil in it, that doesn't make that overlap fall down. Okay, so that's your final. That didn't take too long to do. I mean, I have done it many times before. It's obviously the first few times I did it, it took a lot longer than that. But that's pretty good now. So just a few loose pieces to cut off, so that they aren't tempted to pull on them, and then find that when you pull on them, they just keep going and keep going and keep going. But yeah, hopefully you can see in there that's nice and neat now. And all I'll do now is just glue the plinth on the top. Well, these ones want painting. Oh, I said, why do I store them without having the plinth or the crown on the top? That process of lining them is so much easier without the crown. My first few, I built them and actually glued the top on, and then you're going in underneath trying to get in, and it's just much easier to line them like this. And in fact, I find it easier to paint them like this as well. You can have them upside down, you can paint, or you can get to pretty well everything, because you don't actually want to paint this bit here, because this is actually going to have wood glue on it. So actually here now I can see everything that needs to be painted, and I can paint the crown separately, but I'll do a separate video on the painting. So okay, there you go, that's the planter ready to be painted now. On to the next one. So hopefully you found that helpful. If you've got any questions or any comments, please let me know. And if you've got time to like the video, that would be absolutely amazing. And if you've got time to subscribe to the channel, that would be fantastic. I'm getting my numbers up slowly. It makes a big difference to me. Gets all my videos higher up in the YouTube searches, so I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody who's subscribed already, and the numbers are slowly creeping up. So until next time, stay safe.